Chapter 3 Pie's Sea. So how are we doing this? Harold asked. It's huge. Look, Julia said while pointing. A boat. Julia headed for the boat, and Drake and Harold followed. Well, kind of. It was more of an old, tiny wooden sloop. I suppose a bottom, sail, and 2 paddles should do it, Drake said. It's going to take a while, but we can try. Come on, help me push. They started pushing the sloop into the water. It loosened and started floating. They climbed aboard and started drifting away from the beach. All right, there we go. Haru and Julia grabbed the paddle, and Drake was in charge of the sail. There wasn't any wind at that time, so Haru and Julia started paddling. An hour later. I'm tired, Haru pointed out. Let's take a break, Drake proposed. It was quiet for a while. Guys, Haru started. What is it? Julia asked. What is that? Haru asked as he was pointing at something in the sky in front of him. Haru was looking at a small twister from which the shape of a person appeared. The twister and person were made out of clouds and fog. So you 3 are trying to cross my sea, the person said. My name is Pi, god of the oceans. I heard from Haven what awaits us all, so your first challenge to help prepare for the fight starts here. Prove me you are worthy of entering Godania. Good luck. Another twister swallowed the clouds and fog, and Pi's projection dissolved. Wait, Pi as in pie? Haru asked. All that math stuff. Poseidon, Haru. Come on, Drake said, annoyed. You just met another god, you doofus. Oh, and yes, if I recall correctly, you write it exactly like how you write the math stuff. Oh, alright then. Cool. They kept an eye out for whatever was going to happen. It took a while, but eventually they stopped paddling when they saw something move underwater. Is that what I think it is? Drake asked himself. Whatever they saw moving showed itself and came jumping out of the water. A gigantic monster tried to get to them. As I thought, a plesiosaur. A plesiosaur? Isn't that a dinosaur? Julia asked him. Not exactly. Well, it's from the age of dinosaurs. It's a creature just like Nessie. Only this one seems a little bit more vicious. The creature was a plesiosaur, like the Loch Ness monster, but this one was slightly different. Besides its 4 flippers, small tail and long neck, it had a deterrent head, with bloodshot eyes and razor-sharp teeth. With its head sticking out of the water, it swam towards the sloop, but the wind that just started kicking in made Drake able to dodge the monster by turning the sail. The weather started getting worse. The wind became rougher, and the sky turned dark. So how do we get rid of a bloody plesiosaur? Drake asked anxiously. How would I know? Julia yelled. Drake tried to think and put his knowledge of extinct creatures to good use, but couldn't think of one thing they had against creatures like those. He pulled his sword and waited until the plesiosaur came close enough. When it did, it tried to snatch them with its jaws. It missed, but Drake couldn't swing his sword as he had to dodge the attack. The creature came at them again, but this time Drake barely managed to dodge in time. The wind started creating waves, so it became harder for them to keep their balance. The monster attacked for the 3rd time, but this time Drake managed to land a hit. He hit the neck of the plesiosaur, causing a deep cut. Drake quickly hit a few more times while the creature was convulsing. He violently cut through the bone and managed to chop off the creature's head. Judah kicked the head from the sloop over the small railing. Get away, she yelled. I just killed a plesiosaur, Drake said, flabbergasted and surprised about the fact he fought something that was supposedly extinct. The waves got bigger and wilder. It started to rain. I'm sorry to announce that wasn't all. Over there, Haru said worriedly. Another creature was approaching them underwater. A fin was sticking out until the beast rose from the water. I can't believe this, Drake said. It's a megalodon. Row, quickly! The megalodon, a gigantic supposedly extinct shark, came at them much faster than the plesiosaur did. Haru and Julia tried to row as fast as they could, using the waves to their advantage. Drake was moving the sail, catching the wind to go faster. It's catching up, Julia shouted. Drake, look ahead, Haru shouted. Drake stopped looking behind him and saw what was ahead. The water around them had gotten shallow, and rocky hazards were in their way. To Haru and Julia, Drake said something unexpected. Perfect. Drake, what do we do? Julia asked him. We sailed straight towards it. At the last second, we turned this boat around. The megalodon managed to get to the sloop, and its reckless attack cost the others the back end of the sloop. It bit the wood to splinters and let go again. Not yet having achieved its goal, it continued to chase them. We go left. Ready? Drake asked. Now. Haru stopped paddling and Julia continued, while Drake pulled the sail as hard as he could, making the sloop turn left. They almost capsized but were able to dodge the rocks, only scraping them. The megalodon jumped at them, but missed and got torn apart by the rocks. Trapped in between several rocks and shallow water and fatally hurt, the megalodon couldn't get to them anymore. Yeah, there we go, Haru yelled in joy. Drake looked behind them and saw the hurt megalodon give up. Not only that, it disappeared, just like that. Something is not right. I don't think these creatures act like they're supposed to. They're being controlled. But of course, the challenge. Well, Pi is making it easy for us, for now. What's he throwing in our way next? There we have the next one, Julia called out as if Drake's question was answered by Pi immediately. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, Drake said. A monstrous, ginormous garfish-like head rose up from the water. A short distance ahead, one of the biggest sea creatures ever lived appeared before them. The moment it did, lightning kicked in. A bloody friggin' mosasaur. The rain was coming down quicker and harder than ever, and a storm formed. Is anyone's thalassophobia kicking in? Haru asked. Well, yeah, by an hour ago, Julia reacted. What's the plan with this one, Drake? Julia asked. Drake tried to think thoroughly, but he had not the slightest clue. He's turning, Haru yelled. Drake, Julia shouted, frightened. I don't know, Drake answered, extremely pressured. Shoot its eyes. Really? I'm never gonna hit that, Julia yelled. Well, do you have a better idea? Julia grabbed her bow and tried to shoot an arrow at one of the mosasaur's eyes, but the waves made her unable to aim. The arrow didn't even hit its head, and would never be able to reach because of the wind. This isn't going to work, she pointed out. I don't know what else would, Drake answered, dead frightened. Lightning kept raining down. The storm kept getting worse. No one had any idea what to do. Howard looked behind him at the bottom of the sloop and noticed a hatch. He reached for it, opened it, and told the others what was inside. All right, I have some rope, wire, wood planks, and a bottle of is that rum? Harold looked at the items, thinking everything was useless, and so did Drake and Julia at first, when they were looking at the objects Harold had found. But then they looked at each other and knew exactly what they both were thinking. As if they were reading each other's minds, Julia grabbed another arrow, and Drake grasped the pulley with the wire from Harold's hand. Harold still had no idea what was happening. I am confused, he said. Drake wrapped the wire around the arrow quickly. You really think this is gonna work? Julia asked him. I bet we both only hope this to work. If it does, well, we have one shot. Let's make it count. Julia placed the arrow on her bowstring and pulled it back. She aimed at the sky. Wait for it. We throw the pulley into the water? She asked. That won't do it. We need to attach it. How? Drake smiled anxiously at her. Improv. The mosasaur had almost made it to their sloop. The ginormous monster opened its jaws. Hold on. Drake had his sword in one hand and in the other the pulley. Only then Harrow seemed to realize what they were planning on doing. This is a joke, he said. No, Drake shouted. Judah shot the arrow into the sky. The pulley started getting relieved of the wire as it followed the arrow into the sky. Drake jumped from the sloop onto the side of the mosasaur. He stuck his sword into the side of the monster's upper jaw, and with the speed he had built up, he was able to swing on its head right away. Leaning over the nose of the beast, he smashed the pulley around the beast's tooth. He pulled out the sword and immediately jumped off the beast onto the sloop. Another lightning strike hit, and this one temporarily deafened all of them, as it hit so close. But that plan surprisingly worked, and the lightning hit the arrow, and the electricity was directed across the wire, which touched the mosasaur's tooth and upper jaw, electrocuting the monster. At first, it didn't move. There wasn't much to see, but the creature was paralyzed. Its jaws lost muscle strength and they closed, taking a small part of the sloop with it. If it was dead wasn't clear, but it couldn't move, and slowly descended underwater. You think it worked? Julia asked Drake. They kept looking at the sinking mosasaur until it eventually disappeared, just like the megalodon did. Yes, but normally I don't think it would have. A human like me would die in an instant, but a giant like that, not a chance. Wait, really? Then why did we do it? Because of Pi. These are his creatures. He decides the difficulty. Julia sighed. And his difficulties are no joke. Drake went and laid on the deck. He had to catch a breath. My brain can't keep up, Haru said. Imagine the Kraken, Drake said. Haru chuckled at first, but in an instant his expression changed to immense fear. But it wasn't another creature. Julia sat on the deck, leaning over the railing. Waves kept hitting her face. But she was so sick and tired that she didn't care. But then she noticed what awaited them next. This is preposterous. Oh, come on, Drake said as he noticed it as well. Pi's got to be kidding. Harry said when he did too. The storm had created whirlpools all around them. "Grab the paddles! Row like you've never rowed before!" Drake yelled. Harry and Julia tried to maneuver past the whirlpools, and Drake tried to steer them the right way, but there was nowhere to go. As they managed to go faster and use the speed to their advantage, they managed to pass one, when many still followed. "Keep going! They keep getting bigger," Drake told them. They managed to dodge the second one, but then the third came close. "Julia, switch to the left!" Harry was paddling on the left side, and because Julia switched sides and paddled on the left side as well, and after Drake moved the sail, it made it easier for them to turn right. They dodged the third whirlpool with a little too much effort, and because it was all they could do, the fourth whirlpool and many more were impossible for them to dodge. "Brace yourself!" Drake shouted. Eventually, the wind, waves, and stream pulled them in, and the whirlpool started swallowing them. Haru was launched off the boat first and got swallowed by the ocean. "Haru, no!" Drake screamed loudly. Drake managed to grab a hold of the mast, and when he saw Julia slipping, he grabbed her hand. The boat turned sideways, and Drake was hanging from the mast, desperately trying to hold on. Julia was slowly slipping away. Drake and Julia looked at each other. All they felt at that moment was immense fear taking over. "No," Drake said. Julia's hand slipped away, and she was swallowed by the ocean. Drake screamed loudly and was crying heavily. He was still holding on, unsure of what to do. This didn't feel like a test anymore, and when he thought of that, he thought of one possibility. As the ocean took his friends, it might have been awaiting Drake's surrender. Maybe a pilot was coming for them. Drake was afraid to let go, but he thought it was possibly the best thing to do at that time. And so he did. He slowly loosened his grip and let go of the mast. He fell, got swallowed by the ocean, and sank. Before he tried to swim to the surface, he saw the silhouette of a person and passed out.